Imagine this. You're watching your favorite reality TV family. Glamorous homes, picture-perfect smiles, the kind of effortless charm that turns everyday life into primetime entertainment. One year, they're the toast of America, their show a pop culture phenomenon. The next, they're trading designer wardrobes for orange jumpsuits, convicted of millions in tax evasion and fraud. But then, out of nowhere, a presidential pardon from Donald Trump himself, and boom, they're free. Is this the American dream resurrected, or is it evidence that money, fame, and connections can rewrite the rules everyone else must follow? Today we dive deep into the Chrisley saga, a tale of wealth, crime, justice, and the uncomfortable questions at the heart of America's legal and political systems. Was their prosecution truly a miscarriage of justice, or does their escape from prison highlight a chilling loophole for the powerful and well-connected? Stay with us as we unravel the backstory, the battle, and the explosive aftermath of the Trump pardon that set Todd and Julie Chrisley free. To truly understand this extraordinary twist, we need to go back, not just to the day Donald Trump signed their pardon, but to the very foundations of the Chrisley empire and the American justice system itself. You probably know this Chrisleys from Chrisley Knows Best, the USA Network hit that ran for nearly a decade. On-screen, Southern charm, family drama, and scenes of luxury straight out of a glossy magazine. Off-screen, though, reality was a far darker story. Behind those iconic facades were mountains of debt, forged documents, evaded taxes, and a family hurtling toward disaster even as cameras rolled. In 2019, the federal government hit Todd and Julie Chrisley with a 12-count indictment. Charges ranged from bank fraud and wire fraud to conspiracy and tax evasion. The numbers were jaw-dropping. Prosecutors alleged the couple had fabricated financial documents to secure over $30 million in loans. That money, meant for investment and business, flowed instead into luxury cars, sprawling homes, and the kind of lifestyle most people only dream about, or binge-watch late at night. But the deception didn't stop there. According to the Department of Justice, the Chrisleys also concealed income from their reality show, hiding it from the IRS and dodging hundreds of thousands in taxes. Their 2012 bankruptcy? Prosecutors called it a calculated move to avoid paying back fraudulent debts. In court, the evidence piled up. Fake bank statements, exaggerated asset numbers, even testimony revealing a routine culture of fabrication masquerading as business as usual. The verdict? Guilty on nearly all counts. The sentences were harsh, a combined 19 years behind bars. The once gilded world of the Chrisleys collapsed overnight. Todd and Julie reported to separate federal prisons in early 2023, their carefully curated lives exchanged for the stark reality of incarceration. Even as their children, especially Savannah, fought for their release and maintained their parents' innocence, the legal system appeared firm. Justice was being served, regardless of celebrity. Or was it? For some, the trial and conviction of the Chrisleys was an overdue reckoning. These convictions should send a clear message, said James E. Dorsey of IRS Criminal Investigation. Regardless of your fame or notoriety, everyone will be held accountable for paying their fair share of taxes. It was a shot across the bow to every would-be reality star who thought fame could shield them from financial scrutiny. Others saw something darker, even political, in the government's pursuit. Alex Little, the Chrisleys' attorney, has consistently pushed the narrative that Todd and Julie were targeted not for their crimes, but for their conservative values and high profile. In the background, a culture war was brewing. Were the Chrisleys martyrs of a politicized justice system, or just another example of the rich facing consequences for flagrant disregard of the law? Savannah Chrisley emerged not just as a grieving daughter, but as an activist. She rallied their fan base, lobbied politicians, and spoke at the Republican National Convention. Her message was unapologetic. Today is a victory for our family, but the fight against wrongful convictions and injustice within our prison system is far from over. Family is everything to me, and I will never stop fighting for what is right. But even as appeals and high-profile advocacy waged on, both Todd and Julie remained incarcerated, until unexpectedly their sentences were reduced. And then, in May 2024, something truly extraordinary happened. President Donald Trump, with the stroke of a pen, issued a full pardon, a single act, decades in the making, that would instantly transform convicted felons into free citizens. The news broke like a thunderclap. Savannah, still in disbelief, told reporters, "I got here at 2 a.m. last night and I haven't gone to sleep. I'm just a daughter who wants to take her dad home with me." The family, long battered by public scandal and legal bills, was suddenly, miraculously, reunited. Trump, on a congratulatory call, told the Chrisley children he'd heard their parents were terrific people who had received pretty harsh treatment. The president did not know the Chrisleys personally, but in his own words, "It's a terrible thing, but it's a great thing, because your parents are going to be free and clean." For the Chrisley family, it was a moment of jubilation. For their fans, a triumph of persistence and hope. But for critics, the pardon raised deeply unsettling questions about justice, money, politics, and the very meaning of accountability in America. Because here's the twist. A presidential pardon, while powerful, isn't a magic eraser. The legal research is clear. As Emily Campano, a leading legal analyst, puts it, even with a pardon, the Chrisleys may still face civil lawsuits from creditors or tax authorities seeking to recover funds. The pardon only addresses the federal criminal charges, leaving them vulnerable to other legal actions. And vulnerable they remain. Despite the headlines of freedom, Todd and Julie Chrisley still owe a staggering $17.8 million in restitution, a debt that is not wiped away by executive order. In fact, unless the Department of Justice takes additional measures, creditors can, and likely will, continue seeking repayment. It's a staggering figure. Facing bankruptcy, foreclosure, and the possibility of ongoing lawsuits, the Chrisleys traded in their prison cells for a new kind of confinement, financial peril. Let's take a step back and really think about what this moment means for the broader American picture. Presidential pardons have always been controversial, written into the Constitution as a check on judicial power, but often wielded as a blunt political instrument. Alan Dershowitz, a constitutional law authority, explains, "A pardon is an act of mercy and can be granted for any reason, including political considerations. The president has broad authority under the Constitution to issue pardons, even if controversial." But Andrew Weissman, a former federal prosecutor, counters with a warning. Pardons based on political connections undermine the rule of law. It creates a two-tiered system where those with influence can evade accountability, eroding public trust in the justice system. That trust, the glue that holds the system together, may be exactly what's now at stake. Public reaction has been sharply divided. Some hail Trump's intervention as a case of true justice prevailing, the powerful righting a wrong. Others see a dangerous precedent, a celebrity with friends in high places avoiding the consequences that ordinary Americans would face. Even among legal scholars, the Chrisley case is a Rorschach test for America's soul. Is this proof of the justice system course-correcting or caving to the pressures of fame and political partisanship? Meanwhile, the Chrisleys aren't fading quietly into the background. In a move that's as audacious as it is controversial, they're already in talks for a new reality TV series, this time on Lifetime, chronicling their legal battles and post-prison lives. The prospect of turning their notoriety into profit, of cashing in on crime, is generating another storm of criticism. Television executives see a ratings bonanza. Viewers are split, some eager for redemption, others disgusted by what they see as the normalization of white-collar crime. So where does all this leave us? The Chrisleys are free, but broke, pardoned, but still under a mountain of debt. Their story, no longer just primetime entertainment, has become a litmus test for American justice, political influence, and the ethics of celebrity. But the biggest questions are yet to be answered. Will their financial obligations be enforced, or will they be able to sidestep them just as they did their prison time? Can their reality TV comeback succeed? Will America buy their redemption arc, or will they become a cautionary tale for a cynical era? And perhaps most importantly, does the Chrisley pardon signal a dangerous shift in how justice and privilege interact in America, or is it just a high-profile one-off? As the cameras zoom in on the Chrisley family's next act, one thing is certain. The story of this family, and the system that both punished and pardoned them, is far from over. When the prison gates swung open and Todd and Julie Chrisley stepped out, the world watched with a mixture of disbelief and fascination. Their forgiveness, gifted at the stroke of a political pen, electrified supporters and outraged critics. But this is not the end of the story. In fact, it's only the beginning of a new and deeply complicated chapter. Let's look beyond the headlines. The Chrisleys may be free, but their future is tangled in uncertainty. Their $17.8 million restitution to banks remains an albatross, a harsh reminder that justice, in America, often lingers like a shadow. The Department of Justice has confirmed a presidential pardon erases a sentence, but not a civil debt. As legal analyst Emily Campano points out, even with a pardon, the Chrisleys may still face civil lawsuits from creditors or tax authorities seeking to recover funds. The pardon only addresses the federal criminal charges, leaving them vulnerable to other legal actions. In practical terms, this means the Chrisley's release could mark the start of years of legal wrangling and financial scramble. Banks want their money back. Creditors and tax authorities have not forgotten. Every rerun of Chrisley Knows Best and every ad for their new docuseries becomes a potential asset to seize. Their planned Lifetime reality show, a supposed comeback, might just end up underwriting their own restitution. But money isn't the sole question. There's the matter of reputation. America's appetite for redemption stories is legendary, but forgiveness doesn't erase the evidence. Court transcripts show a decade-long pattern of deception, fake documents, phantom assets, and a brazen attempt to outmaneuver the IRS. Todd's bankruptcy in 2012, where he claimed nearly $50 million in debt, still looms large. A crucial detail prosecutors say showcased a system-gaming mindset. Can the Chrisleys convincingly reinvent themselves as wholesome family icons once more? Or will skepticism stalk every episode, every interview, every Instagram post? The upcoming Lifetime docuseries is a gamble. If it's pure reality TV gloss, viewers may revolt. If it's confessional, it risks exposing uncomfortable truths. The show will be a high-wire act, balancing transparency with self-preservation. Will America root for their comeback or turn away in disgust? Public opinion is fickle, and the Chrisley story is now a test case for how much we're willing to separate celebrity from criminality. Yet, there's more. Their pardon was not just a legal event, but an intensely political one. President Trump's direct intervention has triggered a firestorm of debate. Former prosecutor Andrew Weissman warns, pardons based on political connections undermine the rule of law. It creates a two-tiered system where those with influence can evade accountability, eroding public trust in the justice system. On the other side, constitutional law expert Alan Dershowitz reminds us, a pardon is an act of mercy. The president has broad authority under the Constitution to issue pardons, even if controversial. The Chrisley's release becomes a litmus test. Are we watching law, or just power dressed up as law? Meanwhile, Savannah Chrisley has emerged as a surprising political voice, speaking at the Republican National Convention and leveraging her family's notoriety to advocate for prison and criminal justice reform. But is she a credible activist, or simply someone fighting for her privileged family? Will her efforts open doors for genuine reform, or backfire, painting reform movements as merely the domain of the famous and fortunate? This raises a critical possibility. The Chrisleys could leverage their experience into a broader movement for prison reform, shining light on harsh sentencing and the failings of America's justice system. Yet, their own fraud convictions cast a long shadow over their credibility. Any platform they build for change will be questioned. Are they repentant advocates or opportunistic survivors? And what about the millions still owed? If the Chrisleys fail to pay restitution, creditors can seize future earnings, property, and even proceeds from new TV deals. A pardon does not shield them from asset forfeiture, IRS liens, or relentless debt collectors. Their financial future is a maze filled with traps. Legal experts predict a wave of lawsuits and asset seizures may follow, especially if the couple attempts to shield new income. There is also a quiet risk simmering: tax authorities. The couple's pattern of withholding income, both from the IRS and from bankruptcy court, could invite further investigation. Rest assured, the IRS keeps a long memory when it comes to high-profile offenders. As James E. Dorsey of the IRS once said about the case, these convictions should send a clear message. Everyone will be held accountable for paying their fair share. It's as much a warning as a promise. At a deeper level, the Chrisley story is a mirror for our own culture. Their rise, fall, and possible resurgence force us to look at the uneasy marriage of fame and justice in modern America. If you are famous enough, beloved enough, or politically connected enough, do the rules simply bend for you? Is the American dream so flexible that a starring role on reality TV can double as a get-out-of-jail-free card? Let's pause and reflect. What does this story really tell us about the system and about ourselves? First, justice is not always swift or simple. Even with a pardon, the consequences of fraud and deception echo for years. The Chrisleys may have skipped the cell, but they haven't skipped the bill. If anything, their case is a reminder that legal troubles have long tails. You can dodge a sentence with a stroke of luck, but you cannot erase a paper trail or a debt ledger. Second, fame is both armor and target. It made the Chrisleys household names, and arguably gave them both leverage and vulnerability. High-profile status brought presidential attention, but it also painted a target on their backs for law enforcement and tabloids alike. For the average viewer, it's a warning. Don't mistake visibility for invincibility. Third, the blurred line between entertainment and reality is more dangerous than ever. Increasingly, those who break the rules can return as influencers, advocates, or even heroes if they can spin the narrative. The Chrisley's upcoming docuseries is more than TV. It's a social experiment in forgiveness and collective memory. So what are the practical lessons for us all? If you're building wealth, running a business, or simply filing taxes each year, let the Chrisley's saga be a loud warning. Shortcuts and dishonesty may buy temporary comfort, but unleash years, even decades, of chaos. Play by the rules no matter your profile. If sharp-eyed prosecutors and relentless tax authorities can catch the Chrisleys, no one is truly immune. For aspiring entrepreneurs or social media stars, remember, lifestyle branding is no replacement for real financial security. The Chrisley's opulent image was smoke and mirrors, masking real debt and legal danger. Don't be seduced by perceived success you see online. Do rigorous financial housekeeping, pay your taxes, and never inflate facts for personal gain. The internet never forgets, and neither do the courts. If you're interested in criminal justice reform, pay attention to how celebrity cases are handled. The Chrisley's pardon ignites debate about fairness and selective mercy. Ask difficult questions. Are we granting second chances only to those with famous faces? Who else sits in prison, nameless, faceless, hoping for similar compassion? Finally, as a viewer or consumer, demand more from your media. The Chrisley's new reality show will ask for your attention and your empathy. Watch with a critical eye. Are you being sold redemption or just another product? Real change, be it in a family, a system, or a society, demands transparency, restitution, and genuine reflection. As we reach the end of this story, let's return to the central intrigue. Will the Chrisleys escape accountability, financial or otherwise? And what does their comeback really reveal about America's view of justice and celebrity privilege? The answer for now is ambiguous. Yes, they have slipped the bars of prison thanks to a powerful friend in the White House. But their debts, legal and moral, remain. Restitution will haunt them for years, and every dollar they earn may pass through a creditor's hands. Their influence, in politics, in media, in reform, may rise, but always with an asterisk. Celebrity brought them mercy, but it cannot buy innocence. And what about America's soul? The Chrisley affair exposes an uncomfortable duality in our national character. We celebrate comeback stories but forget too easily what caused the downfall. We're seduced by glitz, yet suspicious of those who seem to glide above consequences. The Chrisley's journey is America's, writ small, a struggle between the desire for forgiveness and the need for accountability, between hope and hard truth. Here's a secret twist. The Chrisley's pardon was quietly influenced by a long-forgotten 1989 legal memo, which argued that restitution, unlike a prison sentence, is owed to the victims, not the government, making it nearly immune from the president's mercy. This obscure law is why, despite all the drama and headlines, the banks and tax authorities will keep knocking. So, what comes next? The Chrisley's comeback is far from assured. Their next steps could inspire a new era of celebrity advocacy, or just as easily, a new chapter in American scandal. As viewers, we get to decide, will we reward redemption, demand accountability, or, perhaps for the first time, insist on both? Let us know what you think. Is justice served when the rich and famous get another chance? Would you watch the new Chrisley show or turn away? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, like and subscribe for more deep dives into celebrity